So we'll start. So today I am very happy to welcome you on this session. Your host will be myself from Grenoble INP and Isabelle. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes, hello. So I'm part of Grenoble School of Management, and I'm also a member of UNITE, which is the European University Alliance for engineering schools, but also social sciences. And this conference takes place within one of the pilot projects of UNITE, which I share a few things about. And we do this in partnership as well with the Hope Chair represented by Beatrice.
Okay, thank you. And during this session, we have some guests that will also be introduced just before their presentation. We are happy to have people from Greece, from Spain, from Portugal, and from France. All these people are working on research program about energy poverty, and we really thank them to give to be with us today. So a little bit of background. So this is organized by Grenoble INP and UNITE. Isabelle will tell you more about UNITE, and just one word about Grenoble INP, which is in Grenoble, and a few figures that you can see. What I wanted just to highlight is that in our ambition in Grenoble INP University, our ambition is to contribute to build a sustainable world in which our engineers, managers, and doctors act as enlightened citizens and initiate transition. And that's why this topic of energy poverty has been chosen today.
Yes, I just take the floor for a minute. So as we said before, this is organized by UNITE. So UNITE is a university network for innovation, technology, and engineering. It brings together 7 universities, soon 9. And these universities, they span the whole European territory, from Aalto in Finland to Lisboa in Portugal. With in between, you can read, you have Sweden, Germany, Italy, and Spain. And today we also have, and let them introduce themselves in a minute, we also have students and teachers from UPC in Catalonia and from TU Darmstadt. So the goal of UNITE is to bridge the gap between engineering, science, technology, and what we call the grand challenges of society. This workshop is one of the pilot projects of the UNITE H2020 program. And in this specific workshop, our aim is to bring research and innovation closer to society. So we do this by addressing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And today we focus on Goal 7, which is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. As you know, energy is a major issue today. It's every day in the news, wherever you live in Europe. And we believe that students play a key role in bridging this gap between universities on the one hand and civil society at large. That's why we're very happy to have you be a part of this conference. And as you know, in the second session, students will be sharing their own ideas about fighting against energy poverty. Maybe we can just give the floor for a minute to our guests from TU Darmstadt and from UPC in Catalonia. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Well, I am Daniel Calatayud from the UPC. Fabian Lopez is going to be connected in the next moment.
Yes, I'm here also.
So,
good afternoon to everyone.
Fabian, do you want to explain you in English, because your English is better than mine? Okay.
No problem. We are the team of Polytechnic University of Catalonia. We are Daniel Calatayud and me, Fabian Lopez, professors from the School of Architecture.
LGBTQ, we support you.
Sorry?
Sorry.
I think you can continue.
Okay. We are joined this afternoon by some students who participate with us in different academic initiatives related to the study of energy poverty and vulnerability. I don't know if they are here, Laura, Sarah, Luis, and company. If you want to introduce yourself, please, guys.
I'm here. I'm Laura, and I'm a student from the UPC of Catalonia in Sant Cugat del Vallès, and I will be participating in this project too, with Daniel and Fabian.
Welcome.
I don't know if Luis or Sarah. Okay, by the moment,
I think Sarah is having some trouble to connect.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, right. Welcome everyone. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Uriol. I study energy engineering in UPC2, Barcelona. And I wanted to attend this conference because I think that we don't have many social vision at the university, and I'm very interested in it.
Okay. Oriol, do you know if Luis is connected also?
I don't know.
Okay, no problem. Isabel, probably this is a small picture of the UPC team.
Well, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you very much.
We also have students from TU Darmstadt in Germany. And Shika, would you like to introduce the school?
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Anshika Suri. So like Isabel said, I'm based at TU Darmstadt in the Department of Architecture, and I work with Isabel on the Unite Work Package 7 on bridging societal outreach programs. Our student actually who will be participating for and making the video is having some trouble connecting since he's actually currently in India, where we are really used to an energy crisis. We grew up with that. So I hope that in the next 10-15 minutes or so, he should be able to log in. He has a blackout where he lives at the moment. And I see some of the other students who've also joined in, who basically joined in based on the call and the interest in the topic. So we're very excited for the session today. This is a big challenge right now happening in Germany, especially in our university and for our students. So we are hopeful to see like what our students can come up in collaboration with all our partners as well. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Thanks, Anshika. And I believe we also have some French students from Grenoble INP. Maybe if one of them I think was traveling, so I'm not sure she's still with us, but if there's any student from Grenoble, maybe you can just raise your hand and we'll know who's with us. So we should have 3 universities today, so that's already a good start. And as we said, the session will be recorded, so you can also, your classmates who haven't been here can join later for the second session. Yeah, I know, I can see we have Coralie. Coralie is from Grenoble INP. I don't know if you want to say something, Coralie, or it's too complicated being on the train. All right, well, let's start. But thanks all of you for being here.
So yes, let me do a short introduction. I don't see my first speaker is here, but if not, we will see, because she told me that maybe she will be a little bit late. Yes, she's here. So my first speaker is here. Great. I think if you are here, you know about this workshop, which is in 3 sessions. So the first session is today. We call it "What Can I Do as a Student?" And let's get inspired by researchers and students who are doing some research work. So in a minute, I will give the mic to them. There will be an in-between session that I call homework, where students will be invited to prepare a 5-minute video, and I will give you all the details and instruction at the end of the conference. And the second session, which is really the target of our pilot with Isabel, is to create some interaction between our students in Europe. It's called I Have a Dream, when students across Europe get together to address energy poverty. It will be a sharing session, and it will be online groups. It's open to Unite students, of course, but we enlarge it to other students, especially students who are in the university of our guests today, because all our speakers are from the Engager network with a group of researchers specialized about energy poverty. So I think it's very rich also to enlarge our Unite group to other experience of students. So this is our agenda. So let's go today. This is the session 1. And so our speaker will be Fereniki, Nikos, and Evangelia, and they will tell you about energy poverty in Greece. Then we will have Agathe Ménage and myself about a French testimony teaching energy poverty and involving students in energy poverty initiatives in France. And Marta will tell us about some works that she does with her students in a big program at Politécnica de Madrid. And finally, from Lisbon, Carolina will tell us about student perception of energy poverty that she made in 3 locations, Montevideo, Lisbon, and Padua. And just my word of conclusion about the next step. So I will do this first introduction because we talk about energy poverty in Europe, and we have an energy poverty advisory hub, which is the former Observatory of Energy Poverty in Europe. So they gave us at European level a European definition. We know that each country the definition can be different. So energy poverty occurs when energy bill represents a high percentage of income, affecting their capacity to cover other expenses. It can also occur when consumers are forced to reduce their energy consumption of their household, and consequently, this affects their physical and mental health and well-being. So this is the official definition of the Energy Poverty Advisory Hub. And I give you just a few figures. It's not just to look in details, but I took the 2 topics, which is energy bills, and to show that within the different countries, it's very small, but you can see that the situation is very different. And that's why studying energy poverty at European level, I think can be very inspiring to find what to do, because we are facing different energy poverties, in fact. Here, the second graph is about keep the home adequately warm. So you see also some very big difference between our countries in Europe. So that was just a very short introduction. I want to give the mic to Fereniki, Nikos, and Evangelia. Just one question to my guest speaker. Do you want to share your screen yourself, or do you want me to do it for you?
Hello.
Yeah.
I think it would be better to share my screen with you if you don't mind.
Okay. So I will just make sure that I give you the right to do it. So I think it's easier for you. Okay. Fereniki.
I will stop others.
I think it's okay.
I want to continue. Yes. Share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
And now? Is it okay?
It is okay.
Okay. So, hi again. I am Fereniki Vatavali. I'm an architect and urban planner, and I'm working as an applied researcher at the National Center of Social Research. So somehow I try to combine technical issues with social issues, as it is the goal of this approach and session. Unfortunately, my colleagues, Evangelia and Nikos, cannot join us today, but they are available for communication in the future. I will say a few words about energy poverty in Greece. First of all, I have to say that the discourse about energy consumption and energy poverty in Greece started during the economic crisis of 2010. At that time, it became obvious that access to energy should not be taken for granted. And it was the first time that many households faced serious problems with access to energy, not only poor, but also middle-income households. Today, energy poverty is rising again due to the energy crisis. The current situation is very difficult. During the last years, energy sector is under extensive transformation, and this has led to the explosion of energy prices. A crucial factor for that is the liberation of energy market, and particularly the financialization of energy in the context of the EU energy transition policy. Also, the war in Ukraine is closely related to energy issues and has affected the situation and make things more complicated. Well, the Greek government has taken some measures in order to support households. For example, they adopted subsidies on power bills, social tariffs for electricity supply, and some special rules for vulnerable households. Okay, these policies reduce somehow the cost for the households, but do not respond to the scale of the problem. And what is most important is that they don't provide the sustainable, socially and environmentally sustainable solution in the long term. Renovation policies that could provide a sustainable response have low budget and require private funds from the households, from the homeowners, that exclude most vulnerable households.
Sorry, Fereniki, maybe you are sharing not the right screen, because we are on the title page.
On the title page, you don't see the second page.
No, because you may share maybe the wrong screen.
No, I think it's. Can you see now?
Yes.
Slides, title, background. I think sometimes full screen has problems.
Okay.
Okay, so I use this format.
Sorry, I was interrupting.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Sorry, I interrupt you.
No problem, no problem. So another important thing is that the rise in energy prices in Greece coincide with the rise of prices in the housing market. And so speculation on energy and housing increase the total cost of living and make access to decent housing unaffordable for a large part of the Greek society, and put great pressure on households. So can you see now the slides type
yes.
Content of the presentation?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in this presentation, our intention is to present the main findings of a project that we ran last May about energy poverty in Greece in the context of the current energy crisis. And our intention was we intended to document and analyze the perceptions, the practices and the experiences of households regarding energy consumption at home. The project was conducted on behalf of Nikos Poulangias Institute. And we think that our presentation can contribute in this conference in two ways. First of all, with our findings about energy poverty in the Greek context. And secondly, with our methodology that combines various methods. So what was our methodology? Well, the project consisted by two parts, a quantitative and a qualitative part. The quantitative part was based on a survey. We collected almost 1,000 questionnaires from households living all over the country. Half of the questionnaires were collected with telephone interviewing and the rest with web interviews. And we analyzed the questionnaires using SPSS software. The qualitative part of the project was based on semi-structured interviews with households that live in 6 apartment buildings in Athens, in the capital of the country. I have to say that apartment building is a very popular residential building in Greece that usually has a central energy infrastructure for heating and for lighting and other uses. So we took interviews from 1 or more households of the same building. And also we asked our informants to give us energy bills in order to analyze consumption, costs, etc. Interviews gave us the chance to understand aspects of energy consumption and energy poverty that haven't or cannot be documented with another method. So here we will present some of the main findings of the survey, together with some of the information we received from the interviews. We also used European and national statistical data for our analysis. And our intention is to show that combining different approaches is not only useful for understanding energy poverty, but also necessary in order to explore different aspects of this phenomenon. So, according to our findings, 83% of the respondents declared that the rise of energy prices has affected them. It's a huge number, 83%. Half of our sample stated that covering energy needs is difficult for them. What is interesting is that we found a strong association between households' incomes and problems to cover energy needs. You can see on this chart that 71%, this is the first column of the chart, 71% of the households with monthly income, very low monthly income, 500 euros or less, cannot respond to their energy needs today. While on the other hand, 88% of the households with monthly income over 2,500 euros can respond to their energy needs. So, as it is expected, the poor have the most serious problems. George, a middle-aged civil servant, told us that it seems that today energy, a basic need, has become a luxury. And this is, I mean, this is a big shock for researchers, but also for households. Sorry, what's wrong? Okay. Beatrice already said a few things about arrears. Well, arrears is a problem, a big problem in Greece too. 30% of our participants, of our respondents, stated that they were late paying energy bills. And we have to say that the share of households with arrears on energy bills in Greece is much, much more higher than the average in the EU level during the last years, even 5 times higher. Okay, so let's go to another issue. Did the rise of energy prices had an impact on households' everyday practices at home? The answer is yes, it did. More than half of our respondents reduced the time they use heating, reduce the time they use cooling system. They reduce the time they use electronic equipment. Also, 40% of the sample turned on the heating for less than 4 hours per day on average during the winter. And considering that the temperature during the last winter was very low, this is regarded as inadequate use of heating. The big question is, what will happen this winter, and what will happen in the coming summer? Summer energy poverty is a big issue in Greece. Also, more than 1/3 of the respondents heats just a part of their home or turns off the heating even if their home is cold. Of course, changes in everyday practices means much more than switching off systems and devices. It means a shift in the way of living. And this can be understood by qualitative research. For example, Christos, one of our informants, bought a pressure cooker that consumes less energy than a regular pot, and he told us that he uses less the oven for cooking, as it consumes much more energy than cooking in a pressure cooker. Or Elena, an unemployed lady, told us that she covers the floors and the walls of her flat with carpets and covers in order to keep it warm, just like people of primitive tribes did. And also she told us that in summertime, she opens the windows, waters the balcony, or shades the rooms in order to reduce temperatures at home. What is the impact of the energy crisis on living conditions? According to our survey, almost 1/3 of the households declared that they don't feel comfortable at home during the winter, and that the average temperature at home was less than 18 degrees during the last winter. I have to say that according to the national standards, thermal comfort in the interior of a house is achieved when temperature is 20 degrees Celsius. At the EU level, approximately 8% of the households live in inadequately heated homes. So it means that that Greece is in a bad situation compared to the EU average. Similar are the problems with inadequate cooling in summertime. Also, 1/3 of our respondents faces problems with damp and mold on the walls, on the floors, or on the foundation of their homes. Usually, the main reason for these problems is inadequate heating. But there are even more impacts on the living conditions. And here we have a quote of George. He lives in an apartment building where electricity for common facilities has been cut. So there's no light in the common spaces, and the elevator doesn't work. And he told us that he worries about vulnerable inhabitants, senior people, or people with disabilities that cannot move in the building. In general, we could say that the living conditions of many households have been devaluated, and this has multiple impacts on the quality of life. Also, we have to consider that people stay longer at home due to COVID-19 pandemic, and so the impacts on living conditions are particularly worrying. And I will say a few things about Dueling's energy efficiency. In general, the housing stock in Greece is in bad condition. Our survey highlights the problems with insulation, as you can see on this chart. However, the actual situation seems to be much worse than what we have found. And I will show you this chart. This chart is based on the 2011 census, on data of the 2011 census. As you can see, more than 50% of the dwellings has been built in Greece before 1980, when thermal insulation became obligatory for the new buildings. And just 1.6 of the dwellings have been constructed after 2010, when the regulation of the energy performance of building was put in force. So it means that the energy efficiency performance of the housing stock in Greece is not good. And it means that improving energy efficiency of the housing stock has to be prioritized as a sustainable response, not only to the climate crisis, but also to the energy crisis. What are the main findings of our research regarding energy retrofitting, and what are the main challenges for the renovation policies? Here we will discuss three points, and then we will close. As it was expected, energy problems are higher for households that live in dwellings of low energy efficiency. In particular, 56% of the households that live in low energy class dwellings declared inability to meet their energy needs, while it is still a high number, but it's lower than 56. 40% of the households that live in high energy class dwellings had problems with energy. This finding confirms that the most vulnerable households are trapped in housing conditions that reproduce their problems. Another point, our second point, is related to energy retrofitting of apartment buildings. According to the official data, 45% of the housing units in Greece are flats in apartment buildings. The majority of these flats is old, more than 40 years old, and so they have low energy efficiency performance. According to our survey, just 7% of the respondents that live in an apartment building declared that some sort of energy efficiency interventions that affect the entire building has been implemented. In many cases, flat owners that live in apartment buildings invest on the energy retrofitting of their homes individually. They replace window frames or install external insulation. But how effective are these interventions if the rest of the building has low energy performance? Also, many households disconnect from the flat owners disconnect from the central heating system of apartment buildings and install an individual heating system. But this practice weakens the functionality and the cohesion of the building in the long term. Some of the current concerns of households and flat owners are summarized by Moza, a cleaning lady that lives in an apartment building in Athens. She decided last winter, she decided to disconnect her flat from the central heating system and connect with the natural gas network in order to save energy and be independent. But now natural gas prices are very high and access to natural gas is very expensive for her, and she's a bit confused and about the future. And the last point about energy retrofitting is related with rental housing units. Rental homes in Greece represent 26% of the total housing stock. According to our findings, homeowners invest less by 30 to 40% on rental than on self-occupied properties. Usually interventions of energy retrofitting on rental properties are less costly and so less effective. And this means that rental dwellings, rental homes, often have lower energy performance than self-occupied ones. This finding is reflected on this quote. Elena lives in a devastated, rents a flat in a devastated apartment building, and her flat has many problems. And she told us that the landlords don't want and don't have the money to upgrade their asset. I will close with some general points very shortly. Domestic energy consumption and energy poverty are very complex issues. Energy consumption at home is related with a wide range of factors. It is related with energy prices, household social and economic profile, dwellings features, energy networks, culture, everyday practices, type of dwelling, tenure status. Understanding households' experiences and practices is very important in order to approach energy poverty and think about demand solutions and proposals. And to do this, to understand households' experiences and practices, a multi-method approach is required. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fereniki, for this view of Greece. I will tell the audience that we will take the question at the end of the full presentation, because sometimes the question can last. So that's what I propose you. So the second presentation will be done by Agathe and myself from Upchair in France. So I'm going to share my screen, Agathe. Agathe, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
So tell me if you see my screen. Yeah. Hello, Agathe. So I will introduce maybe. So our topic is teaching energy poverty and involving students in energy poverty initiative in France. So Agathe, who is project manager at ShareHope, will co-present with me, and I will present because I used to be in the ShareHope and I work on the topic that we are presenting. So just to introduce ShareHope, it's a research program which is hosted by Fondation Grenoble INP to eradicate energy poverty through innovation, cooperation between education, research, government, and businesses. And one of the mission of this research program is to involve students as our future education, research, government, and business leaders. And there are two parts in the action with these students. First of all is to raise awareness among all the students in France. So we do that with faculty. We propose some challenges, courses, theses, dissertation workshops, and faculty mentor projects. So we do that with the teachers. And it's really during the classes, the normal classes. And what we noticed when we start doing that with teachers 3 years ago, we noticed that some of the students were so interested by the topic that they wanted to go forward and to go on working on that project when it was not required by the classes. So we decided to support any innovative project coming from students about energy poverty. So we help them with our partners and also we created a network that is called Hope Étudiants that gathered all the students who were involved in those initiatives. And we involved all our chairs partners to help them to really do some very relevant projects that are really close to the needs of the territories. The results after 3 years of program, to give you some figures, so we are in Grenoble, but all our scope was France, and we were able to gather more than 40 teachers in our network from different cities, Grenoble, Marseille, Paris, Lyon, Saint-Étienne, and Clermont-Ferrand. We had some quite good works of our students, and some of their work was really pre-research studies. And also, thanks to that, we created a kind of network that is called Café Hope, where we have some regular informal discussion with all the teachers and researchers who are in the network. On the student side, within 3 years, we could really involve in our teaching program more than 1,500 students. We created this network that is called Hope Étudiants, or Hope Student. We could count 200 students really involved in specific initiative and active on the network. We also created a wiki platform, which is a public platform where we collect all the projects that are led by students. It can be projects that are done during the classes, but that it can be also volunteer projects. We won 2 national prizes for this initiative and in 2020 and 2021. And what is very interesting, and that we could gather on this initiative, really teachers and students from very diverse disciplines, such as engineering, urbanism, political science, agronomy, management, arts, design, medical school, and economics. So that was very interesting to gather all that different things. And now I give the floor to Agathe. She will tell you more about student volunteer projects.
Thank you. So we have here 3 examples of students' projects that are currently being used to tackle energy poverty. So the first one is called the Comfort Meter. So it's a project resulting from a creative challenge proposed in an engineering school in Grenoble. So it's a very simple tool to self-assess your energy comfort, and the aim is to identify people who are experiencing energy poverty and redirect them towards the appropriate structures. So this tool has been very successful and is now used, for example, by one French metropole and the Grenoble gas distributor. So the second project is a children's book. It's called Jeremiah and the Sick Home. So it's a production from the same creative challenge as the previous object. So its aim is to raise awareness about energy poverty in the family through the children who are learning to read. So the book is for the children, but the last part of the book is for the parents to read so that they can be oriented to the right support system. So just like the comfort meter, this tool is now used by big structures such as Grenoble gas distributor again, and also the French electricity provider, like the national French electricity provider. So the last project is a guide, like kind of a leaflet to prevent and cure energy poverty for students. So some students and local energy poverty stakeholders have noticed the lack of tools to help students facing energy poverty. So the HOPE chair collaborated with those students and the structure to collect all the existing solutions and constitute a first synthesis. So this is the guide, and they make sure this guide was approved by more students to make sure that the document is adapted to the target. So we can go on the next slide. Yeah, so next, I would like to present you a research program focused on students facing energy poverty. So first of all, this started with the HOPE chair that ordered two studies. The first study was done by master degree students in political science. So they investigate the student energy poverty question through interviews. So they collected a lot of useful quotes from students that are currently facing energy poverty. And the second study was done by master degree students in urban planning. So this one was more about quantity. They created a web survey and they collected 2,000 answers from students living in Grenoble and its surrounding. And those questions were about the thermal comfort of the students in their apartment. So with those two studies made by students, the HOPE chair then missioned the Grenoble Urban Planning Agency to use and analyze all those data to create a more official report. So you will be able to download the report if you are interested when we send you this document, and you will find all the details and the figures, but I would like to share with you the main four key takeaways. So first of all, renting to private landlords for students again increase the risk to experiment energy poverty. The second point is that living in a poor quality apartment impacts students' physical and mental health. The third point is that students don't seem to be well informed about energy efficiency in their apartment. And the last but not least conclusion is that students often do not apply to the financial assistance they are entitled to when they have difficulty paying their energy bills. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agathe. I give you also some additional references about students experiencing energy poverty. I wanted to mention the SAFE2 Age 2020 European program that was led make a very interesting investigation on 7 countries in Europe. So here you have all the two research articles about this topic. And I wanted also to mention an online course on YouTube that is done by Dr. Harriet Thompson. She co-created it with also a lot of other researchers. And she did it during summer 2020. in conjunction with a Mexican university. And really go to this channel if you are a student, because you are really a very comprehensive group of courses about energy poverty, and it's dedicated for students. So that I wanted to mention these two references that can be very useful for you as a student. And also if you are a researcher and you don't know those topics, I think that you may be interested in that. That's all for us. I will give the floor to Marta. We'll go to Spain. Marta, you can share your screen if you prefer to read.
It's okay. Thank you. Let's work for me. So thank you. I'm Marta. I'm from Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. Thank you very much for the invitation to this event. I think this activity is very important to involve the students in all of the energy poverty studies, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm going to share with you this experience of an European project that started this year. An important part of the activities are focused on involving households in workshop to raising summer energy poverty awareness, to reduce cooling needs. Next slide, please. Thank you. It's called a Cool to Rise project. Next, please. And so why is important this project? Why are we talking about summer energy poverty? Well, you know that the summer in the southern countries, it's going to be more and more difficult to cope. And so give me a second, please. Okay, the next slide, please. Yeah, so the aim of the project is to reduce the incidence of summer energy poverty, because if we see the southern European countries, we notice that households are unable to be comfortable in summer, and the situation is worse for our countries that are located in the south of Europe. So in this project, we want to create a common framework on summer energy poverty within the countries that are involved in the project, that are Spain, Italy, Greece, and Bulgaria, to define solutions to tackle summer fuel poverty. And this is the part that involves students to training summer energy poverty agents, that all the activities involving households within this project consist on workshops where students teach strategies and how to face extreme temperatures at home, and also how to reduce cooling needs and to save money in energy bills. I'm going to show you in the next slides about these activities. And sorry, the last slide, please. Other activities are focused on the gender perspective to reduce the feminization of energy poverty, and how we tackle this problem. Well, all the workshops include activities with children that we named the Cool Kids Playroom. And this is very helpful because to single mothers and mothers with children that cannot delegate to other people the caregiving task, well, thanks to this playroom, they can assist to workshops and to participate. And also we have activities focused on dissemination and briefing sessions with professional and local administration. Next slide, please. So the first step was to give informative sessions to students here in the Architecture University of Madrid. And in these informative sessions, we shared with them the objective of the project, and also we explained the activities and what is summer energy poverty. Next slide, please. And also we present them the 4 days training that we give them with different subjects. The first day we present the project, the Culturate project, and we also talk about energy poverty in general, and specifically in summer energy poverty. And in the afternoon session, we talked about energy culture and how to prevent in the dwellings the extreme temperatures and the overheating. The second day, we talk about how the price of the energy is formed, and all the things about energy markets. And in the afternoon, after being aware about how energy market works, we conducted a workshop trying to learn how to optimize the energy bills and give them the skills to be able to read energy bills, and also to give advice to vulnerable households. The third day, we give them some activities to focus on management and communication skills. We gave these sessions to help students to understand how they must approach to vulnerable households and the hypothetically situations that may happen during the workshops, and how to prevent some situation of energy poverty, or of some dangerous situation about using devices that are dangerous because they can make fire in home. And the last day we talk about data protections and ethics, because when the students are in contact with vulnerable households, they also see a lot of sensible data. So we give them some instructions. Next slide, please. So here there are some photographs about the workshops. These photos are from the energy and heat culture workshops. The students facilitate the sessions where vulnerable households review their own strategies to cope with heating, and also they give new strategies to introduce passive measures to cooling the dwellings, as for example natural ventilations or evaporative cooling, because Madrid is a very warm and a very dry environment, so humidity and to block the sun are essential strategies to mitigate the overheating. Next slide, please. Another important part of the project is this workshop that I talked to you about, a focus on optimization of energy tariffs, and to give the vulnerable households the keys to be able to read on energy bills, to change their tariffs, and to know their own rights and the existing benefits. This is one of the most important activities, and students find it very interesting too, because they told us after all the training and the workshop that they learned how they were able to save money, sharing with their families what they have learned. So it was a very important part of the project. Next slide, please. And the other activity they were conducting was and they enjoyed a lot, the Cool Kids playroom. We gave them a collection of books about energy poverty and also construction and different activities at handcrafts, painting, but all the activities and the books are focused on energy bills and energy poverty to raise awareness within the children too. Next slide, please. And also within the project, the students were participating in to give to our most vulnerable households some basic kits to cope with summer and to optimize the energy at home. And we offer them different devices depending on the needs of the vulnerable households. Next slide, please. And this five activity that I will present you was a very important part of the project. It was focused on outdoor interventions because, as we know, climatic shelters must alleviate some situations when the dwellings are overheating, are too hot inside. Public parks, gardens, municipal swimming pools, they can mitigate the temperatures for the nearest dwellings, but also they are places where we can make this sense of community and not be isolated at home. So they are a very important part of all this project. Next slide. So that's why our students got involved in a co-designing experience with a neighborhood in the south of Madrid. First, we make a design with some materials to work with the neighbors and get their ideas and their needs. And then after these co-design sessions at Architecture University, we were working with the students to design an intervention to block the sun and improve greenery in a selected area within the neighborhood. Next slide. And this is some photos of the session with the neighborhoods, improving the place, and it was a very nice experience. We were there for 3 days with the students of architecture and the neighborhood working together to get a more comfortable place that could be used during summer, and also a place that can mitigate the hot temperatures and the conditions within the nearest dwelling, because as we know, it's not the same to open your window and have asphalt than open your windows and have a tree and have other elements that can block the sun, that can reduce the temperature. Next slide, please. And so this is the activities we made with our students focused on summer energy poverty. And the main conclusions we take with this experience is the relevance to involve the students, that they are going to design our future dwelling, they are going to design our future urban places and our urban areas. So it's really important to them to have these knowledge and this awareness about energy poverty and specifically summer energy poverty, and also to involve the European project with the learning service project from our university, and get together all the objectives that we need to make a change in our society. So I think this is all.
Thank you very much, Marta.
Thank you.
Yes, this is the last slide. Thank you very much for this topic, and especially about warm. This is we mostly focus things about cold, and it's good to see that there is also some awareness about situation when it's too warm. Let's go to Portugal now, and Carolina.
Hello.
So you have the floor, Carolina. Same question as the other guest speaker. If you prefer to yourself to go with your slide, you can share your screen. But if you want me to do it, I can do it for you.
No, I guess it's better to share mine. I think I can't.
You cannot?
No.
If you cannot, I thought I give you the, let me go again.
Okay, I could.
Yes, you can.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. My name is Carolina Castro. I'm a final year student of the master degree on energy environmental engineering at FCT Nova, and together with João Pedro Gouveia, a researcher in the SENS Research Center in FCT Nova too, and a specialist on energy poverty. He is part of the Energy Poverty Advisory app that Beatrice mentioned before. We developed research about students' perception of energy poverty, that makes a comparative analysis between local and exchange university students from Montevideo, capital of Uruguay, Lisbon, capital of Portugal, and Padua, a city in the northeast of Italy. First, we analyzed the energy poverty situation in each country, and the indicators that are used to measure it. Uruguay seems to have better energy poverty indicators than other Latin America countries, as in comparison, their homes have the biggest proportion of households' budgets destinated to energy compared to other countries. And here it is shown graphs about Portugal and Italy comparatively to energy in comparison to European Union average for principal indicators. For example, the inability to keep home adequately warm. For 2018, Portugal and Italy had higher percentage than European average, and Portugal is the 4th and Italy is the 6th country in Europe that can least afford to keep their homes adequately warm. Talking about the students, students are considered to be to have a high risk of falling into energy poverty. They are an underreported and undersupported group of the population that lives in these conditions, and there are limited research on students' vulnerability to energy poverty. Although there are studies comparing the perceptions of students from various countries in relation to energy poverty, to our knowledge, in Europe and South America, there are no study investigations about the perception about energy poverty, how this perception can be modified if the student is a local or exchange student, and how this interacts with the season of the year, winter or summer. So our target audience was the university student community from 3 different cities, Montevideo, Lisbon, and Padua. And in each city, 2 types of students were surveyed, a population of local students, LES, and a population of exchange students, ES. Therefore, our main aim was to analyze the perspective of students from different origins, local and exchange students, regarding their lived experiences related to energy poverty in their hometown, or if they were exchange students, the city where they were studying both in winter and summer seasons. More specifically, we had some specific aims, such as what is the students' concept of energy poverty and how concerned are they about this problem, what have been their lived experience in maintaining comfortable internal temperatures, why did they save energy and what actions did they take, and if these responses answers the variations according to where they have studied or the type of students or the season in which they lived. For this, we have a survey. It is the most relevant part of the methodology to show you here. The survey had 44 questions in 11 sections, was disseminated through various platforms such as social media, international student networks, and teacher sharing. It was open this year from March and June, and it had 295 valid responses from these student communities from the 3 cities. Here is an example of some sections of the survey. For example, criteria when house hunting, energy, comfort, and housing conditions, and satisfaction with accommodation. So the results had a lot of issues, but today I chose to show you these ones. To begin, we have this table that summarizes the types of comfort during winter and summer for each population. For each city, we have locals and exchange students. Here, in the big picture, we see that in Montevideo, only the exchange students were uncomfortable in winter, and on the contrary, in Lisbon, only 1 population was comfortable in that, and that was the exchange students during summer. Sorry. And in Padua, there was this both locals and exchange students were comfortable during winter and uncomfortable during summer. These exchange students in summer in Padua, it has this question mark because at the time that I did this survey, they hadn't lived yet the summer in Padua. So it was not considered to be representative to the population. Seeing this a bit more deeply, we see here the charts about the level of comfort during winter of the 3 cities. In Montevideo, 51% were of the exchange students were uncomfortable, and 50% of the local students were comfortable, so the level of comfort was about right for them. In Lisbon, these were the populations that were more uncomfortable from all of them. Around 70, more than 70%, and almost 70% of these two populations in Lisbon said that they felt colder than they would have liked in winter. And here during winter in Padua, on the contrary, almost the majority of these two populations felt comfortable in Padua. Talking about summer, we have here in Montevideo, both the populations were comfortable, and in Lisbon it was the locals that were comfortable, and the Erasmus students were comfortable, so they were about right. And in Padua, the exchange students were not applicable, but the locals were uncomfortable, warmer than they would have liked. So about the actions to use less energy, more than 88% of all respondents from all the populations said that they took action to consume less energy. The most common action they took was wear more or less clothes from all the populations. And talking about the second most common action, for example, consciously took actions to reduce consumption, spent more time outside, these exchange students from Montevideo and Padua, and endured less consumption, would have preferred to use more in the case of Padua local students. Now talking about what were the conditions of their houses and what impact did they have on them. This picture shows the problems in students' accommodation in each population. So here, Padua doesn't show a lot of problems. The most critical thing here was the Montevideo and Lisbon students, and for example, these dampen or mold on walls and ceilings, more than half of them, both exchange and both local students from Montevideo and Lisbon stated that they had this presence in their accommodation, and in all of these characteristics, Montevideo was worse than Lisbon, and the exchange students were stated more problems than the local students. Apart from this, most students in Montevideo said that their housing conditions were not poor, and the majority of exchange students from all populations and the majority of students from Lisbon said that their poor housing conditions affected them. From all of the students who responded that these conditions affected them, they stated that it made them feel uncomfortable. Now, about what is the students' concept of energy poverty and how concerned are they about this problem, asking if they consider themselves to be in energy poverty, most of them said that they didn't. More than 85% of all students, except from the Lisbon exchange students, that was more than half, but this percentage was a bit lower than the others. In terms of level of awareness, it was this population and the population of the locals in Lisbon that showed that had a majority of concerned and really concerned students about this problem. On the contrary, the other populations said that they were either indifferent or not concerned about this problem. So for the discussion, I show here again this table. And although it is difficult to generalize, comfort levels seem to vary according to location, type of students, and season. And there seems to, according to the results, there seems to be an interaction between these three factors. About the level of comfort according to the type of students, if they are local and exchange students, in the case of Padua, there seem not to be a relevant pattern, and in the case of Lisbon, it is relevant in the case of summer, and in the case of Montevideo is relevant in terms of winter. Although most students did not identify themselves as living in energy poverty, several populations perceived discomfort in both winter and summer, and several factors may have had an influence to this. In general, both exchange and local populations in Lisbon who were pickier when I was hunting, I didn't show this, but they were pickier than the other populations, reported more discomfort and noticed more that their poor housing conditions affected them, seemed to be more aware and concerned about the problem than the others. This research fills the gap in the current literature and knowledge field regarding how energy poverty is felt and understood by a potentially significant vulnerable group as university students, and taking into account these three factors, type of students, season, and the three cities. Some of the in the end they got to answer and to say some solutions and policies that could be used by citizens and political agents of the study site, and this could be used mainly to decrease the energy poverty, for example, of the Montevideo exchange students during winter, Lisbon exchange and local students during winter and summer, and Padua exchange students and locals during summer. For example, they said these suggestions, providing subsidies to finance 100% renovation of energy poor and rented housing, improving the energy efficiency of buildings, doing research to identify people who are energy poor more broadly, and informing students that this is a real problem that can affect them in the short and long term, and how they can minimize it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carolina. I thank you all the guest speaker. So now we can open a Q&A session if you want, if you have questions, and if some of you have questions. So I got left, but I'm here to answer the question for France if it's necessary. If there is no question, I guess maybe it's late for a lot of people. So thank you very much. I think you give some very different presentations, so it shows us different ways to involve students, and I will go to and if some questions comes, I will go to the presentation again. And then what do we have? So let's go through the presentation that you did. Let me. Sorry, I was not at the right place. Here I am. So the next step, while you are thinking about questions, for the students, and it can be supported by the teacher, as you may have seen in the different emails, we would like you to prepare individually or by groups a video that could be maximum 5 minutes. It can be 3 minutes. I saw that some people did a 1 minute video, so it can be less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes can be quite long. Some rules so that everybody can understand. It can be in native language, but in that case, you have subtitle in English. It can be fully in English. And as far as the content is expected, part 1, what is energy poverty in my country, in my region, or in my university? And I say focus on the European place where you study, and maybe precise if you are an exchange student or a local student, because what Carolina shows that it's a different perception if you are local or exchange student, but we focus on what happened in the city where you study. Second part, present a best practice that you observe that contribute to reduce energy poverty. And the third part is present what you would dream to do on this topic. And the idea, I give you the link, so you will have my presentation in PDF, and so the link, you can go to this link to upload your video on the drive, and I will ask you a naming convention with your country, your university, and the title of your video. So it would be great to have a few videos from different countries, because it will be the base of our next online session that is called I Have a Dream, when students across Europe get together to address energy poverty. So it will be in December, so you will have time, December the 15th. And we will start by the presentation of your videos. All the session will be based on that. And we will create some working group with students and some working groups with teachers to imagine new collaboration that we can do across Europe about energy poverty. So let's see if you teacher are interested in promoting that to your group of students. If you students, you would like to participate, let's see. It's really a pilot, as Isabel. And Isabel, if you want to add a word.
Well, well, first, thank you all of you for presenting and for attending. I think the presentations really gave ideas about the type of things maybe students could research. And I mean, don't hesitate. I mean, quite a few people were here today, but if you have friends that also want to join, I think, you know, if they have a link to the presentation, they can also join in for the next session. And personally, I'm really looking forward to this sharing of students' perceptions of energy poverty and creativity regarding solutions. So I'm really looking forward to this. Maybe it's already a dream, but I don't know if it's possible for the students who are here. If you'd like to maybe do something already with another student from another country, but maybe it's a bit too early, you don't know yourselves yet. But anyway, I think this comparison of different initiatives would be really, really interesting.
Okay, yes, Isabel, and to give you an example, when we start working in France with students about energy poverty, we were imagining a meeting with all the students we were working with in France. And you know that we had this pandemic that come. And so at the last minute, we had to change our plans because our first meeting was March 2020. And if you remember, it was for France. It was the first time and the first lockdown. And so we convert our on live meeting to a virtual meeting. And it was a great moment. We spent one day in workshop with 30 students from all France, and they really stay online all the time, and they did some creative work by pairs in different cities, and it was absolutely great because I think it was the beginning of the pandemic, and being online was a way to be together And so they were extremely creative. So that's why I am positive about this pilot session. Let's see what happens. But you can really do crazy things with the distance. And yes, so for us, all the, I would say, the journey of a student involved in energy poverty topic at ShareHope started with an online session. So, so that's why we have this dream with Isabel. We can make it. And so just spread the word to the different students, and it can start with a few group of students. I would say it's not a question of quantity; it's just starting, and you can do great things even with a few of you. Pereniki, your turn. You raise your hand.
First of all, I want to thank you again for the invitation and for this inspiring session. Just one question. The date of the second session is 15th of December or 8th of December?
It's 15th, yes, it's changing. It was 8th to be confirmed, and we change it on the 15th.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's fixed now.
Yes, it's fixed now.
Okay.
Because
okay,
what was to be confirmed, and it was not confirmed. So yeah, and it was confirmed on the 15th because there was some exams in some university of Unite, and we we privilege this date. Sorry if it's not okay for everybody, but so yes, it's fixed now. Other comments, questions?
From our part, only a brief comment. I think this was a very interesting session for us. We have verified and identified that we have many points in common from our work here in Catalonia and in Spain, and many experience to share with all people. And as our colleague from Greece said, it's a very complex problem, but we need some energy from different approaches. Is very interesting. I think that in the next session, Laura and Sarah and the other students, Uriol and Luis, will be able to explain some more of our experience, and will comment on our methodological approach also. Thank you very much. It was very interesting for us.
Thank you, Fabian.
Thank you, and thank you too. So I guess next session we should have at least 3 videos from Darmstadt, from Spain, and from INP as well, from Grenoble. So that's a start of the European dream. That's great.
Thank you very much. If somebody wants to talk, but if not, I think that we have all the information for the next step. And I really want to thank you all because yes, it's a pilot, and we don't know where we are going, but maybe we will go to very interesting discovery and new collaboration in Europe. So I will close the session. I thank you very much. Yes, I really appreciate our guest speaker who will trust us and come and yes, come late at night. So thank you very much. And let's be gathered all together for the second section that will be led by the students. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.